Alrighty. Good morning from Los Angeles. I know that everywhere else, it's depending on what time zone you're in, it's definitely a different time of day. Good time zone everywhere else. Thank you all for joining us for the direct email marketing webinar. I am your moderator, Risa May, she, her, and today we are joined by the one and only Jazzy Frizzle, who I know so many of you guys know for her wonderful, wonderful work in the community. So for the next 2 hours, Jazzy is going to be sharing a couple of tips and tricks of the industry to help you level up your self-marketing game. So I have just a little bit of housekeeping before we start. As you can tell this time around for this webinar, we have our chat box open. And as we do have it open, we do ask that you please keep everything respectful, all of your comments and all of your questions, and then keep it tactful as well. We do not tolerate any abusive bullying, derogatory, or inflammatory language. All of that is strictly prohibited. And both Jazzy and I have the right to reserve and have the right to remove any attendee who does not adhere to this request. We also, as you can see, have a Q&A box down in your little menu. So we have that open because we have a Q&A session later on. So if you have any questions for Jazzy, please utilize the Q&A function that we have on Zoom. That way it doesn't get lost in all of the comments and the chatter that goes on in the chat box. We're going to try and keep those separate. And finally, one last thing before I hand the microphone to Jazzy, we are going to do a land acknowledgement as we are hosting from borrowed land. So I would like to begin by acknowledging the indigenous people of the lands that we are on today. And while we meet today on a virtual platform, we would like to take a moment to acknowledge the importance of the lands which we call home. And as we are hosting our webinar in both the greater Los Angeles and Denver area, I would like to acknowledge that we are privileged and grateful to live, work, and host this event from the traditional and unceded territory of the Chumash, Gabrielino, Tongva, and the Ute, Cheyenne, and Arapaho peoples. We encourage everyone in our PGM VO list community and all of our partners throughout the VO industry to reflect on the effects of residential schooling and colonialism on indigenous families and communities and engage in this reconciliation meaningfully. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it off over to Jazzy. Jazzy, please take it away.
Hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome. I'm so awkward with intro, so thank you, Risa, because it would have been bad if I had to do it. All right, guys. So this is just going to be majority of me talking. So please, if you have any questions, please pop them in the Q&A, like Risa said, so we can make time for them later, depending on how many there are. Okay. I will apologize now. I have children and somehow they always find a way to know when the camera's on, and you'll probably see them a couple times, if not hear them. So yes, I'm Jazzy Frizzle. Let's see. I don't know if you heard her. There she is. I'm Jazzy Frizzle. I have been doing voice acting for, it's always difficult to say, 5 years, but recently I really dove in, I'd want to say 2 years ago, and actually did the gusto. And a lot of my work right now is through my own private clients, through things like narration, internal, industrial, all that fun stuff. And that was all possible because of me being super duper out there and sending a lot of emails. I think at this point I've probably sent at least 1,000 emails in my career, if not double that. So great times, guys. So we're just going to kind of go ahead and dive in. The things that we're going to cover today are basically your own direct marketing for your own personal clients, how to market yourself to agencies, or how you can kind of get on their radar, and then just kind of prepping yourself, workshops, and so on and so forth. So let's start. So I like to say that okay, so commercial is the big money, narration is the consistent money, and then character work is the fun money. And so with that in mind, whenever you need to ask yourself, who do you need to reach out to, who you need to go for, the question you should always ask is, who needs voiceover? Who uses voiceover? And then you can honestly just go dive in, and Google will be your greatest tool. So in my history of voiceover and direct marketing, the thing that I did the most is I used Google, and I Googled places like production houses, ad agencies, marketing firms, publishers, so on, so forth, companies. And you should start local. So just go in where, whatever state you live in, just look at those things. Who needs voiceover? Okay, people who make commercials. Oh, people who direct commercials, audiobooks, people who write books, you know? So it's just about thinking, where do you fit in that process? Where can you find work? So if you use Google, utilize those tools to find those companies in your area first, then you can expand and go through not only all 50 states, you could start looking at other countries, international, everything like that. I personally started off Googling from A all the way to, I think, like Utah, just every single state. And I individually would go Alaska production houses, Alaska ad agencies, Alaska publishers, you know, so on and so forth. No one tells you in this industry how much time you'll be spending behind a computer instead of a microphone. And I promise you, it is a lot. So just be prepared to do research. The most tedious part about Googling anything is the research. You're going to their website, you're checking out what kind of business they are, what kind of work they do, and even if they have anything voiceover related. So don't burn out. Section it off, you know, pick a day like, okay, so this Tuesday I'm going to do the A states and only do the marketing agencies in the A states. And then you can go in, have your Excel spreadsheet so that you know to, you know, who you've contacted, who you're keeping like track with, who responded, who, you know, who you never heard from. I'm going to be completely transparent. I do not track because I don't have capacity to do that, but I encourage it. I definitely encourage it. So have a spreadsheet, have the name of the company, what kind of business they're in. Do they do commercials? Do they do indie games? Do they do narration work, industrial, so on and so forth? Have their point of contact. So be it an email address, be it a contact form. Please don't skip out on contacting anybody just because they have a contact form and not a direct email. You can still get work that way. But so name of the company, genre of work they do, and then point of contact. And then you can put the date that you contacted them. And then I would say highlight, like if you have contacted them, you can color code and have fun with it. But keep track of that because it's going to come in handy like later. Like if they reply to you and you're like, wait, I don't know who you are. Oh, let me go ahead and refer to my handy dandy Excel spreadsheet and you can figure it out and you can remember. So that's a tip. That is the most extensive part of direct marketing. I'm going to rant, rave, and tangent. I apologize. I do have a nice little sheet here, but we're going to get off track a lot. So I'm sorry. So that is going to center around your actual direct one-on-one emails. When you go do this research, again, ask who needs voiceover and just get creative from there. Find, if you can find a direct person to talk to instead of just a general like info at this website kind of email, utilize that. A big trick and a big thing to remember in direct marketing is that these are just people on the other side. They're regular human beings. They're just like you, living life. They don't have special superpowers or anything like that. Everyone knows if they're getting a direct marketing email or if they're sending a direct marketing email, it's for opportunities. But don't treat it like an opportunity. You don't want to approach anybody just for the chance to get something or for the chance to work. So treat them like regular people, everybody. Just talk about yourself a little bit, what you like, point out something personal that you found on their website, like, oh, hey, I was on your website, saw you did this video, loved it, would love to be a part of, possibly be a part of any future projects like that. You don't always have to go straight for the gusto and be like, hey, I'm a voice actor, do you have work for me? It's gonna turn a lot of people off. So just be friendly, be kind. That's the greatest, it'll be your greatest asset in this industry. Be kind, treat people like people, go about your day. You'll be fine. Okay, so Google, greatest tool, greatest asset you will ever use. LinkedIn. Ooh, everybody loves LinkedIn. They do not. So LinkedIn is a great tool if used correctly. It's kind of like, I like to say, more professional Twitter or fancy Facebook, because it really is just centered around your career, and it's centered around industry professionals and what they do to promote their work. LinkedIn is not the place to find work, like immediate work, but it is the place to plant seeds. I've gotten gigs from people I connected with like a year ago because all I did was say, thank you for connecting. And I have all my information on my LinkedIn. I'm a voice actor. This is what I do. I'm trying to be better. I'm really bad at social media, like bad. So I'm trying to post more on LinkedIn of stuff that I've done so people can hear it and they can like reach out and be like, oh, hey, yeah, we have the same work that, you know, the same style that we would love for you to voice. It's really hard to keep up on social media. So props to all of you that can do that because I cannot. So LinkedIn, circling back, LinkedIn is great for planting those seeds. So whenever you go on LinkedIn and you connect with somebody who might have the potential to hire you either now or in the future, they could be like an assistant director, or they could be starting out in a company and moving their way up the ranks, just say thank you for connecting. That's all you have to do. You don't immediately, as soon as they accept your connect, invite, you don't immediately have to be in their inbox like, hey, you can hire me, and be like, well, we all know what we're on LinkedIn for. You don't have to make it any more obvious. I promise. Everyone knows what we're on LinkedIn for. So it's just be chill. Thank you. Go about your day. Interact with them on the feed. Congratulate them when they post something or that you like it. It's just about being personal with people and building those genuine connections. So utilize LinkedIn. Also, it's great to find out who you need to talk to. So LinkedIn has a premium account like everything else in the world because money. If you have the premium LinkedIn, if anybody in the industry has their email address in their bio, that means they're basically giving you permission to contact them one-on-one. If they don't annoy them. Please don't deep dive into the internet to find their contact information to send them an email, right? Like, ideally, that's not cool, and not everybody is fine with that. And also, you have to realize personal space and right to people's privacy. So don't intrude on people's lives like that. But if you see that they openly have their email in their bio, they're okay with you reaching out. So what you do is you go to a company page on LinkedIn. Google it, let's say chapstick. Oh, I see my chapstick, here we go. So if you go to the chapstick company website, if you go to the people section, you can see who works there, who claims, who works there on their LinkedIn page, who's put their position and everything like that. If you go through and you connect with everybody that has creative marketing or creative in their title, marketing in their title, ad in their title, like an advertisement, anything, connect with them. Or you can just follow them. I recently have reached 1,200 connections on LinkedIn, so I might have a bit of a problem, but direct marketing. So just look at those people, connect with those people, and then just interact with them on the feed, and you'll be totally fine. So again, LinkedIn is great for seeds, not for current work, but it'll be worth it in the long run when you're getting people to reach out to you. When do you reach out to these people? When do you send your emails? I've had the pleasure of coaching with amazing people who have helped figure this out. Whenever you send an email to somebody, direct marketing specifically, always do it during business hours, during business days. And I mean during their business hours, during business days. So if you are reaching out, if you live on, West Coast, coasts are real. If you live on the West Coast and the studio that you're going to reach out to is on the East Coast, you're going to want to be mindful of, it may be 3 p.m. your time, but it's 6 p.m. their time. So just keep in mind what their business hours are so that you increase the chances of them actually looking and reading at your email, because nobody, except us freelancers who don't have a set schedule, nobody is going to want to read an email at, do anything with work at 8 p.m. when they're at the dinner table, right? So just be mindful of that. Monday through Friday, typically, just because that's when most business days are. And then keep in mind when people are busy. Usually the best days to send a direct email are Tuesday through Thursday, because if you think about it logically, Monday, right, we're coming off of the weekend, so they may have things they need to catch up on that maybe came in over the weekend, or maybe they need to, prep for the upcoming week, right? So Mondays are more busy just because, again, catch up or preparing, and Fridays are the same because the weekend's coming up. They want to make sure that they're not stressing over the weekend about something they forgot to do on Friday, right? So be mindful of that and try to avoid sending communications on Mondays and Fridays. One, it increases your chances of your email being read. And two, you're being considerate about the people on the other side. Again, regular human beings. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, during their business hours. Again, I keep that in mind because you might be reaching out to international studios and companies. So get the little clock on your phone that tells you what time it is in other places, because I'm terrible with time zones. I don't know how much you guys freak out, but I freak out. Like, oh wait, is that deadline is actually yesterday? Great, love it, thanks. So yeah, LinkedIn, great. Follow-ups. It's always the question, right? Like, how do you follow up? When do you follow up? Because you don't want to annoy people. You don't want to be kind of creepy, like sending an email every day. And you don't want to be like, me. I know this is about me, but me. Don't do that. A friend of mine mentioned there is a rule of threes, and I think it's a great rule. So rule of threes, you send the initial email, you don't hear anything back after 3 days. So you just send a little nudge, like, hey, I have this coming up, right? Okay, you do that after 3 days. You don't hear anything after 3 weeks. Send another little nudge or update. And then after 3 months, if you don't hear anything, one more. I think it's great, gives a little bit of spacing and time. Sometimes people are just busy and they can't get back. And it's that rule of threes. And honestly, you can turn that number into whatever you want, like sevens, 7 days, 7 weeks, 7 months, whatever, right? Like you can change that however you want, but the spacing is really good as to not bombard people with your emails and your follow-ups and your updates and everything like that. So keep that in mind. I had a thought and it left. That's going to happen a lot. Again, I'm sorry, guys. Oh, use the same thread. use the same email thread when you are following up with anybody. So your first email is ideally your introduction. This is who I am, this is what I do, this is what I like, and I would love for you to consider me for something. If you're following up 3 days later, you want to reply to that same email, because maybe the person who got that email read it, they just don't have time to respond, or they had something else that they had to rush off to. If you send a follow-up email separate from your introductory email, they're going to be like, wait, who is this? Why do I know them? Like, okay, I don't have time to worry about this. I'm going to move on to the next thing, right? If you reply to that same email, they see your introductory email, and they're like, oh, okay, this is the person that, oh, I really like their demo, or, oh, I love what they said. I was keeping them in mind for something. Okay, now remember it. I like to compare it to a little trick I've heard for on-camera callbacks, is that when you have an on-camera callback, you should wear the same outfit that you wore to the original audition, because it'll help them remember who you are. Like if you wear like a bright yellow shirt and you wear that bright yellow shirt at the callback, like, aha, yes, I remember things now. I remember more things. It's the same thing with your marketing. You don't want to keep reminding them who you are, and you don't want to keep sending 5-page emails, right? So introductory email, and then after that, any follow-ups, send to the same thread. So it makes it easier on them. Yes, that's great. Okay, right, segueing into more personal stuff. Thank you emails, sporadic holiday emails. Just those also are very important, because it shows that you care, and you're keeping your clients in mind, just like how you want them to keep you in mind. So if it's like, oh, we're coming up on holiday season anyway, if it's like Thanksgiving, I know last year for Thanksgiving, I sent an email out to previous clients, instructors, potential clients, just whatever, like in the spirit of, being thankful. I just want to say thank you. I hope you're doing great. Here's a punny joke for you, because that is me as a person. Have a great holiday. Not asking for anything, not, telling people to hire me or anything like that. Just keeping in mind, I'm, just trying to keep up our current genuine relationship, and just know this is more than just a job, and this is more than just an opportunity. You are more than just an opportunity or a job. And people love that, because it's not about what you can, like, people won't remember you for, I mean, yeah, if you're talented, like, awesome, that's dope. Of course, we want to be remembered for being talented, but people are going to remember how you treated them more than anything. So be kind, let the people know you're thinking of them, and you hope they're doing well, and, things like that. You don't just have to do that on social media. I'm just going to put that out there. In this giganto direct marketing realm of things, another thing to keep in mind are your markets. I'm going to let you know now, again, being completely transparent and honest, if you want to do voiceover full time, you cannot just do character work. I love you all. And direct marketing is more catered to private clients that don't do character work. But like I mentioned before, commercials big money, narrations consistent money, and then character work's the fun money. So in terms of this, with my direct marketing, most of my work is in narration, just because this company is going to need me to do those awkward orientation introductory videos for somebody who is a new employee, right? Those awkward videos that you have to watch every time you start a new job. It's weird, right? Good times. But that's consistent work. No, it may not pay 5 figures, but it may pay that one figure, that $1,000, you know what I mean? Those 4 figures at $1,000, and you get a video from them once a month, right? Like they need you to voice a video from them once a month. Perfect. Love it. It's ideal, right? So with that in mind, consider your markets, consider the hubs. If you reach out to the studios in California, of course, a lot of other voice actors are also going to reach out to those markets as well, because it is a voiceover hub. It's an actor hub, just like New York, just like Texas. Everybody's going to be reaching out to those places. What nobody thinks about is sending, a marketing email to the 2 studios that are in Kansas, because the talent pool is a lot smaller and the work is more consistent. They may not pay as much as the LA market, but it's more consistent. So no, it won't pay $1,000 versus if you were to do this internal video for a California company. But oh my gosh, it paid $500 and they need me to do 2 videos a month. Dope. So there are a lot of different opportunities, especially in the smaller markets. So keep that in mind. Smaller markets, international markets. The international market is very underutilized and very untapped, just because you have to think, again, who needs voiceover? There's tourism, there's, oh gosh, I can never remember. We'll get there. E-learnings, international e-learnings, there we go, and stuff like that. So keeping that in mind, there's opportunities out there, guys. You just gotta like reach out and find out who, yeah, electronic kiosks, perfect, thank you, Serena. Things like that, like when you go to a terminal, you like a bus terminal or something, and they have an English voice announcing things. Somebody had to do that. You go to airports, somebody had to do that. So keep that in mind. There's plenty of opportunity out there. You just have to look for it. And it's not all character work. Again, I love you guys. Don't come for me later. Okay, so that was a lot of information. If anybody has any questions, again, please put them in the Q&A and we'll like address them. But I think in terms of just initial outreach, I think that's my spiel for the moment. We might circle back. Now, how to not lose your mind doing all of this direct marketing, okay? Y'all, templates will save your life. Having templates will just make everything so convenient. So you're going to be sending a lot of emails. You're going to be sending so many emails. Have the 3 templates, 3 or 4 templates. We'll count them out together. 1, your direct marketing non-agent template. So like if you were to reach out to studios or companies that their creative director or whoever, right? Your non-agent template where you are like, hey, I'm just wondering if you, not wondering, if you do, just asking if you do like resource your own talent, if you do source your own voiceover talent, I would love to be considered. Here's my information. Here's something fun. Here's something I like about your company. And then go on your day. So if you just have a template like that you can copy and paste, non-agent outreach. Have an agent template for when you're submitting to agencies, and make it very general. And always, please, before you submit to an agency, double check if they have any, like if they have a format they prefer. Do they want direct? Do they want an email? Do they have a contact form on their website that they only use for submissions? Always double check that first. If they don't have something specific that you need to do to submit, use that general agent template that you have. Then have a contact form template, because again, do not miss out on reaching out to somebody just because they have a contact form and not an email address. I've gotten gigs that way. I've gotten people to reply to me via email, and now they, I have their email address. Perfect. Don't miss out on that opportunity. So have a contact form template where you have the basic information, like here's my best email. This is what I do. Here's my website. You don't have to attach anything because you can't, and call it a day. And then, so it's 4 templates. And then have a follow-up template. This follow-up template is specifically for any workshops that you take, be it an agent workshop, be it a workshop with a casting director, with a director, with another voice actor. Like, it's going to, that follow-up is super duper important. You don't realize how important it is, like how important it is. Again, it's like reintroducing it's like using the same thread in your email. You won't have to reintroduce yourself. If you send a nice follow-up email the day after the class during business hours, always remember during business hours, guys. So have that workshop follow-up template. It's going to save your butt. Sorry, looking over my list. Okay, so in these templates, we're going to break these down. With your general non-agent template, reaching out. Don't have a 5-page email. Nobody's going to want to read that. But the important information, your name. Do ask them, give them the option to like, okay, I'm trying to figure out how to say this. Basically, don't ask them for a referral, or like, hey, I don't know if you don't cast voiceover talent on your own, please send me to who does. Don't ask for that. You want, again, these are human beings. Just give them the option, because maybe sometimes they don't source talent at all. Maybe they don't know who sources talent at all. But I've gotten plenty of emails where they were like, oh, that's awesome. I don't know, like, I don't do this personally, but I'm going to forward your email to the person who does. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So give the option of them to share your information. Don't ever ask for any of that outright. So who you are, what you do. Hey, do you voice cast? If not, totally fine. You know, like like if you don't, I'm trying to think of how I worded in my emails, like just wondering if you resource voice talent and all. And if you do, I would love to be considered, you know, for anything. Small little intro, perfect. After that, attach your website. Please have a website. I know very few people who get by on not having a website. Have a website to promote yourself. You don't have to, if you don't have demos, it's fine. Just upload a couple samples of your recording so they know what your voice sounds like. If you know, put the classes that you've taken up there, you know, it's fine. But have a website. And then also attach your website, your reels or samples and your resume. Because again, giving them the option, hey, if you want to go to my website for everything, here's my website. Or if you don't want to leave this email, all my information, all the attachments are right below. You can check out my resume and you can check out my samples. You don't even have to leave this email. Whatever is convenient for you, person I'm emailing. So keep that in mind. Offer them the option of both. Email. Okay, yes. So those are like the must-haves. After that, have something personal in there. A joke, or, you know, you just talk about how awesome your dogs are, or your cats are, you know, something like that. Mention something personal, human to human. I'm communicating with you. And then again, mention something that you like on their website. So yes, you'll have a template, but in your template, you should have little parentheses of reminding yourself of, oh, mention this video or mention this product, you know what I mean? And then you can just have fun. I think I end my emails with, if you have any questions or you want to talk about how Scott Pilgrim has the best scene transitions of all time, please don't hesitate to reach out, right? Like, so I was a person. So have a good time. I have a couple puns in my emails too. I'm very professionally unprofessional, y'all. It's just a good time. I have a good time. So keep that in mind. So those are the general follow-ups. Agent templates, when you are submitting, again, please make sure that they don't have a specific format that they want you to submit to. Some agencies want you to, like, once you submit your information, they'll reach out to you and be like, hey, we want you to read these pieces of copy just so we can like know if you'll fit in with our roster. Or they'll say, hey, we need you to have this kind of demo, send us your resume and headshot. So always double check on their website if they have a certain format for submitting. If they do, please do that and read carefully. If they don't, refer to your agent template. Agent template it'll be very similar to your general one, but you're going to be, I don't want to say promoting because it sounds like off, but sorry guys, the sun is not fun today. Not necessarily promoting, but you're going to be kind of showcasing yourself, like what you can do and what sets you apart. Because with agents versus like a studio, they're going to be more particular about the talent that they have on their rosters. They're not going to want 5 people that sound the same, right? They're going to want something different. So with your agent emails, you're going to want to basically say what you can offer that other talent don't have, that their other talent doesn't have, and why they need you on their roster. That is where more research is going to have to come in. A lot of agencies on their websites have the talent that they have on their website, and their demos. So go through, go through, if you have a masculine voice, go to the masculine, voices, see if anybody sounds like you. And you can offer that up, like, hey, listen to your talent on, your website. You don't have anybody that has my voice. You don't have anybody that sounds like me. I can offer you that sound, and explain your voice. Like, oh, I have a youthful, energetic, cool sound and things like that. So yeah, the agent emails are going to be a little bit more like, this is what I can do, and so you should hire me, than your general one. But you kind of have to. It sucks, but you got to showcase what you can do and who you are. So you can copy over that general template over and just make adjustments. This is what I can do. This is what you don't have. This is why you should consider me. Here's my website. Here's my demos. You can leave this email or not. Have fun. Have at it. Workshop emails. You never know who's going to be in the workshop. Not even just the instructor. I think the great thing about voiceover is one of those things that you're always learning, and you're always like just meeting new people, learning new things, because I know I do. But there's going to be a point where you're taking workshops mostly for networking. And that's totally fine. You can still learn, have fun. Don't worry about it. So workshop follow-ups, especially if you take any of them with an agent, if you take any of them with a casting director or a director, anybody that has the potential to hire you or even refer you, really, you should next day during business hours, send that thank you, because this person took time out of their day to, instruct or, share their time. They shared their time with the class, and that's an amazing thing. And thank you, genuine thank you. Like, thank you so much for doing, this. Again, don't have to reintroduce yourself. You could be like, hey, thank you for your time. I'm Jazzy. I did the chapstick. I read the chapstick copy, and you gave me this feedback. And then they'll be like, oh, that's right, I did. Okay, I liked how they read that. Oh, that's right, I told them they should do that. And they actually did it, So no need to reintroduce who you are as a person again, because you talked with them face to face. So your name, what copy you read, the feedback that you received, and how you're going to apply it, because one, it proves that you're listening to the person and you're not just there for an opportunity, but you're actually taking in, or you're picking up what they're putting down, basically. Like, you're taking in that information and you're actually going to apply it, and you actually learn something. And then you can pass along your information, like, hey, my website is linked in my signature if you ever want to check me out. But, until then, have a good day, enjoy your weekend. I'll see you in the next class or something, so human beings. And your workshop email is going to be fairly short. So love those. Yeah, those are the 4. Wow, I went through those already. Okay. Oh no, contact forms. Contact forms. No, I did do this. Guys, I'm struggling. It's rough. I have my coffee right here and I haven't been drinking it. Woo! We're moving on. This is actually a great segue into workshops. So workshops are a great way to network. They're a great way to meet new people, great way to talk to people, and not even just those who have the power to hire you. Friends, you never know, especially in voiceover, because we don't get paid. You never know who's going to say, like, who's going to make a transition into another position in the industry, where they might be directors one day, they might be casting directors one day, you know, they might work in a studio where they can have the power to refer people. You never know who you're sitting in class with, or, you know, there's so much there. Genuine relationships, again, is the foundation for this entire industry. So make friends. You never know what's going to happen. So workshops. Take workshops. Take important workshops. Cold reading, improv, scene study, breakdowns, you know, just all basically the foundation of acting, because voice actors are actors. We just aren't on a camera. Right? That's basically the deal. So take those classes, connect with your friend, the people in that class on social media, follow each other, because you never know that you might have like 10 classes that you guys have done together, and they're like, oh my gosh, I got this audition that I'm not right for, but I do know somebody who would be good for this because I've heard them read in class and I know what kind of characters they can do, right? So keep that in mind. Follow your classmates, get to know your classmates, have fun. You guys can grow together. You guys can be directors together, or, you know, you never know what can happen. Also, the instructors as well. Sometimes they're just regular voice actors like you and can't offer you an opportunity. That is okay. You can still learn so much. You can still network with them and have a great time. Genuine relationships. In terms of agent, casting director, and director workshops, I say, at my dearest, like my personal request, please don't take those unless you're ready. I like to say, unless you're ready to show out, unless you're ready to show off, show out, because you don't want to keep taking the same agent workshop and spending that money if you're not ready. Because the point of taking those agent workshops, we all know, again, everybody knows, you want to be signed with that agency, right? Or you want to learn to see if you want to be signed with that agency. Don't waste your money, please, at my personal request. Don't waste your money. Same with casting directors. Again, we know why we're taking the class. We would love that connect. We would love that opportunity with that person. Don't do it unless you're ready to show off. Don't keep taking that class with the person unless you're ready to show off. I just don't want you guys to waste your money. That's all I care about, okay? Please don't do it. So yes, please keep that in mind. And I never thought I would have to say this, but apparently I do. Don't ever pay for any kind of agency submission, management submission, anything like that. Don't ever pay anybody to submit you for anywhere. It's just bad, okay? Please don't do that. I've been seeing it recently. People offering like, hey, we can send your information to like 200 agencies or management companies and agencies and studios. And you're kind of like, well, I could do that on my own. Also, it's a very impersonal feel, because it's not you sending that email. It's not you adding your own personal touch to these people. So please don't, please. Websites are super, actually they're pretty important. They're pretty important. Websites and demos. If you are starting out in the industry, please don't feel pressured to have a demo right away, please. And also please don't spend thousands of dollars on a demo when you're first starting out. Demos, the point of demos is to showcase what you can do as an actor, as a voice actor, what your skills are, just showcasing what you can do. You don't know what that is if you're just starting out. You don't know what you're good at yet. You don't know, what you're getting booked for if you're just starting out. So you really shouldn't have a demo at least for like the first 6 months of your career, like at least. Could definitely take longer. So take workshops, figure out what you can read when you're looking for work, and you get your own like clients. If you're using pay to plays, we are going to talk about pay to plays. If you're using pay to plays, see what you're getting shortlisted for, see what you're booking, keep track of the style of work that you're booking or you're getting callbacks for, because that gives you a clue to yourself of what you can do and what your capabilities are and what you can lean into in terms of, okay, cool, I keep getting callbacks for comedic commercials. Let me go ahead and lean into this a little more. And now you know that you should have at least a clip of a comedic commercial on your demo, and keep that in mind. So please do not immediately think being a voice actor means having a demo right away. It's not. I can tell you right now, I've used my demo a handful of times on my own, my commercial demo a handful of times on my own. And the only reason why I have to get a new one is because my agent told me to, because I don't sound anything like that anymore. So that's the only reason why I'm updating my demo. Okay. So keep that in mind. Don't feel the pressure to do that. Again, you can get by just by using raw samples. Just like, oh yeah, here's me reading this commercial piece, or here's me, you know, doing this little narration or this little character voice that I can do. Please don't. Just don't do it. Don't do it. Demos anyway are for agents. The purpose of them is to get an agent. Again, you'll see like more on Twitter and like social media, like you'll see those casting calls that are like, hey, drop your demo, and it's mostly character work. So character work, sure, go ahead, do it. Again, don't spend thousands of dollars on it. But commercial, again, only use it a handful of times, and you won't see a lot of those kind of casting calls on social media where you're going to use it. Sorry, just reading. Oh yeah, card.com is great. Wix is great, websites. But yeah, so demos, that's like the spiel on that. Websites are super important, again, because it's where people can find you. It's where people can contact you. It's where people can see what you can do. It doesn't have to be super complicated. I'm a person who does the most. So my website has like 4 or 5 pages of everything broken up into pieces. It's ridiculous. But I started off with a 1-page website like everybody else. And you want to be sure that the information that you want to be shared is immediately there on your website. As soon as somebody were to go to your website, everything they need to know is right there. Think of it as the harder somebody has to work to get with the information they need, the more they're going to lose interest. If they like saw like you shared a commercial you did on your socials and they were like, oh, I really like their voice, let me go to their website, like, oh, okay, cool, click on their website, and they're like, okay, where can I find their email? Where is that? And they're like, okay, well, I'm not interested in this anymore. And then they just move on to the next one. You just miss out on opportunity. So on your website's homepage, first page ever, you should have your website, your email address. How can we contact you? Email, direct email, no contact form. You can have a contact form, but you also need to have your email. Nobody wants to fill out a contact form if they're on the other side. We can do it. They don't want to do it. Okay. So have your email, your best contact, your email address. Have your demos immediately right there that can be played on the website. Again, if it takes them away from the website, they might not come back. So just make sure that they're able to play it while they're on your page, and they can listen to it while they're scrolling through the rest of your website. I tell people not to put too much pressure on having credits. Most of voiceover work is audition based anyway. So, I mean, like, good for you for booking, you know, like 10 roles, awesome, but can you do this one? So that's why a lot of voiceover work is audition based. Don't feel pressured to have all your credits listed on your page. Nobody, like, cool, but nobody's gonna like make or break you because you didn't do a commercial for McDonald's, right? You know what I mean? So don't put too much pressure on those, please. having your resume right there on the homepage as well, that's downloadable, so that they can take it with them. If they so choose, like if they, oh, okay, I like this person, I like their website, I like their demos that I heard and everything. We download their resume so I can share it with my coworkers, and we can like reach out and see if they like them as well, right? Those are like the big ones. So please make sure you have that. Again, no pressure. If you don't have demos, upload a couple samples. No biggie. But just make it, again, make it as easy as possible for these people to contact you, for them to find you, and for them to, you know, hear you. Don't make it so difficult for them. I think that's like it for websites. Pay to plays. Everybody's favorite. Okay, pay to plays are, well, you know, being transparent, they're a great place to start. To start. Pay to plays are usually for those companies that don't want to pay what they should actually be paying, so they use pay to plays. Again, great to start off. You're learning yourself. You're seeing what you're getting shortlisted for. You're seeing what you're booking. So it's great. It's great to start off on, so that you can become very self-aware as an actor, because that is going to be super important. Being self-aware is probably just about the top of the list of things you need to be in this industry. Is self-aware. You need to know what you're booking. You need to know what you're good at, so that you're not auditioning for things that you're not good at and you're not booking and you don't know why. Imposter syndrome is real, y'all. Please just take care of yourselves. So be very self-aware, pay attention from there. When it comes to pay to plays, the best ones I say to use are the ones that only take an annual fee. Only take an annual membership fee. So you're paying for the year, but there are others that will also take a percentage of whatever you book on their website. So please be mindful of those. Also be mindful of the pay scale on those pay to plays. Some of them have recently gone down to allowing $5 for you to be paid $5. Please don't audition for those. Please don't do those. Again, I know it's detrimental to get the practice and do the auditions, but you still should be paid. You should be paid for your work, at least not $5, at least $100, at least $250. It's fine. The better you get at voiceover, the more you can charge, and the more you feel confident in your rates, and you'll have a very solid rate sheet. When you get to that point in your career, please have a rate sheet, your own personal rate sheet. We'll go over that. So best pay to plays are the ones that only charge an annual fee. That's it. That's all. Also, ones that allow you to communicate with the client one-on-one. So as of this moment right now, the only pay to play I have is Bodalgo, and they're international. And what you can do is that compared to other ones, all right, we're just gonna be honest, it's VDC, voices.com. Voices.com has a format where you can only communicate through the client on their platform. You can only message them through their platform. You don't have any direct email for them. They get paid through your platform, everything like that. So compared to others, like even Voice 123, once you book that job, you don't have to use that platform anymore for the gig. You can email the client directly. They can email you directly, and you guys have each other's contact information. What's so great about platforms like that is that you just got a repeat client, a potential repeat client. So if they're like, oh, we loved working with you, you know, in case something else comes up, we're definitely going to reach out. They don't have to go through Voice 123 to book you. They can just book you directly. Bodalgo is the same. Bodoggle is amazing. I will praise them forever because one, they don't have $5 jobs. Two, the only thing you do on there is get booked. As soon as you book a gig, you have to communicate with the client directly. They are like, no, you get off of our platform now and you go talk to them with your own email. It's perfect. It's perfect. And I have at least like a handful of repeat clients from that website. Keep that in mind. So please don't be scammed and do stuff and get paid $5. Don't ever do anything in perpetuity on pay to plays. You should honestly never do anything in perpetuity at all. If you do see like a decent paying job on these pay to plays, but it says in perpetuity, you can still audition for it, but let them know that you are going to negotiate a term length and this will not be in perpetuity. You don't want to ruin any chances for you booking a bigger gig in the future, just because let's say you found a Capital One gig on a pay to play. They're like, it's in perpetuity, you get paid $1,000 for it. Awesome, cool, they get to use it. Then 5 years later, you are going to book a gig for, oh gosh, what's another credit card? What's another credit card? I don't know. I said Capital One. Discover, yes, Discover. So say Discover, you can audition for Discover and they're paying 5 figures for you to be like their brand voice or whatever, right? And then they hear a Capital One gig you did 5 years ago because they can use it in perpetuity. And you are no longer allowed or able to do that Discover job because they're like, nope, we're there's exclusivity to this. So you can't be the voice of any other credit cards. Oh no, I did a gig 5 years ago in perpetuity for Capital One. I can no longer do this Discover job. So keep that in mind. Never do anything in perpetuity. Please save yourself that. To always negotiate a term length. Be like, great, yeah, you're paying $1,000. I'll let you can use my voice for a year. And the great thing about that is if somebody does say, if Discover were to say 5 years later, hey, is that your voice? And you're like, oh, the term length in the contract was only a year. So now they need to pay me for using that extra, using my voice for that extra amount of time. So you can still do Discover now because your contract explicitly said 1 year with Capital One. So now you can do the Discover job and Capital One now has to back pay you. They probably won't because it was on pay to play, but it's in the contract, so you can at least try. So keep that in mind. Don't do in perpetuity, please. Please. Pay to plays. I think that's it. Don't go broke for pay to plays. For any pay to play that I had it until it didn't pay for itself. If you are not booking on a site, don't try it for a second year. Don't do it for a second year. Keep it if it's paying for it. If you're booking enough gigs that it can cover your membership, plus some. So don't go broke for voiceover in any aspect, for workshops, for equipment, for anything. Don't go broke, please. Yeah, I think that's like my whole spiel. If something pops up, I'll let you guys know, but I think that's everything. So I guess we can break out into Q&A if you're okay with that, Risa.
Yeah, no worries. We can jump straight into Q&A. Did you want me to read the questions out to you, or would you prefer to read them out yourself?
Well, it depends on how actively you want to participate. I'll leave it up to you.
I'm happy to read the questions out to you because okay. I can filter them out as well. So I know some of them get pretty similar. So it might be helpful for me to jump in and just kind of read out the ones that are more unique on their own. So let's start with a question from Hisham.
Oh, Hisham. Hello, Hisham.
There you go. Thank you for correcting me. So the question is, hello, specifically for remote voice talent, what is the best way to market oneself? Is there a specific way to cold email, I tend to try and cold email various studios and take classes when I can, yet I would like to know if there are other techniques. Some challenges I face as well is some studios don't accept remote talent. Thank you.
Awesome. Great question. So I myself, I consider myself a remote talent because I don't live in a hub. I live in Colorado, and that's not LA or New York or Texas. So, I am a remote talent. And a great way to do that is to, again, you have to market yourself, and why would you still be worth it? So I do say, hey, on my website, you can find pictures of my home studio. You can see my setup, broadcast quality. You can even hear a sample of my home studio. So it's kind of like proving that you're still able to do the work, even though you may not be able to go in studio, or you may not live in that major hub. Again, I think for a lot of places, being remote is actually a benefit, especially if you think about those smaller markets that nobody is like really hitting up, because Kansas probably doesn't have hundreds and hundreds of voice actors, looking for a gig there. So being remote would actually be a benefit to them. So, advertise why you're a great remote talent in aspects of that. And let me think. There was something else I was going to say. Oh, the worst thing anybody can say in this industry to you is no. So even if they don't take remote talent, you can still try to submit and like try and appeal to their better nature. And be like, yeah, you can still, I'm still a great remote talent. You can still like hire me. If they say no, they say no. Don't take it personal. Maybe it's just something they would prefer, but don't let it stop you from submitting to other places, or at least try. I've heard tales of people that applied for a job in a company that didn't have the credits, but because they had a lot of other things and motivations and related experiences, they got the job. So you never know. At least give it a shot.
Absolutely. And can I add to that as well?
Yeah, of course, please.
Yeah. So I've actually noticed from the auditions that I receive in my emails that a lot of the big stuff actually prefers remote. So if you have a remote setup, make sure to have that on your website, on your card, on whatever you're listing your demos on, just so they can see that, because clients, they do want to know what space they're working with, because sometimes they'll set up a call with an engineer, and then they'll be like, oh, what do you have in your space? And then you describe to them what you have. But all of that could have been avoided and could have made the process faster if, for example, you were to have all of that information already on a website, and then you just send it over before your engineer session. And then they can be like, oh, right, so this person's got this is, I know exactly what I'm working with. And I can troubleshoot any of the issues that we have because you've provided everything for me already. But yeah, just to keep in mind, like a lot of the stuff out there, like the high paying stuff, the commercial stuff that you want to go for, even a lot of like the high profile video game animation stuff, like
Yeah.
that's all remote. Like they want remote. So you're in a good position to have like a full on booth.
Yeah. And if not, they're like remote, they're at least hybrid. Like a lot. And again, remote, I like to say, like, even before the pandemic, being remote capable has always been a thing. More specifically in the commercial and narration realm, because if you think about audiobooks, nobody wants you to be in studio for 10 hours doing an audio. Nobody wants you to be in there. So remote capable has always been a thing. It's just the pandemic made it way more remote capable for character work. And now a lot of them prefer it. So don't think you're out just because you're not like living in a hub.
100%. Thank you so much for answering that question. Hopefully that has answered the concerns you have regarding that, Hesham. I've got another question here by Mark, or from Mark. The question is, would you include your demos as attachments in emails, or just a link to them or your website? I heard that many email systems filter out unknown senders with attachments as spam.
Yes, so it's going to depend. Again, I think it comes down to giving the person the option, because there are some people that are like, I don't want to leave this website, or I don't want to leave this email, or I don't have time to leave this email. So if you give the option and do both, again, you're being considerate of the person on the other side of the email. So If you're like, hey, here's my website where you can check out a lot more stuff in detail. Like you can find pictures of my studio. You can hear a demo sample or whatever. Like everything's on there. But, and I think I phrase it like this in my emails, like, but if you don't want to leave this email, they are attached below. They're also attached below. So that gives them the option, like, I don't have time to go to a website right now. I'll just listen to it in here. Because at least with Gmail, with at least Google, you can play things in the email. It'll play them. So that's the best one. Usually what sends stuff to a lot of the times, you just have to watch what you put in the subject line of your emails, because that can add to what goes to spam. So you could be direct, be like, voice actor, looking for work, or, you know, something not, mine is, I'm sure my email has been sent to spam. My subject line is words are hard, but it's what I do. And so I've gotten replies back, and so it's working, but just be mindful of your subject line as well. So just be careful.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Sorry, I interrupted you. Did you want to add to that? Was that good?
I think that was everything.
Okay, cool. No, thank you. No, thank you. I jumped in and without thinking, because I saw another question that could lead lead out of this question. Great segue for it. So Mark has asked another question, asking, what do your subject lines look like for direct marketing?
So for my cold emails, like not following up after a workshop, not, you know, just straight up like, okay, went to your website, found your contact email, I'm sending you an email, was what I said before. Words are hard, but it's what I do. That's my subject line for that. Any workshop, like follow-ups, will typically be I call it a boring one, but it's to the point. Workshop follow-up is my subject line. If agencies, when I was submitting to agencies, VA submission, boring. It's fine. It's fine. Boring works, you know, it's not me as a person, but it works. But sometimes just getting straight to the point will let people know what the email is, especially for like an agent who gets hundreds and hundreds of emails, you know, in a week. If they see like, oh, workshop follow-up, I wonder if this is so-and-so that I liked yesterday, they'll click on it and they'll actually read it. So even though it's boring, it's straight to the point, and it'll increase your chances to get your email read.
Thank you for that. I also have something to add to that, just because I form my email headers a little bit differently, and I found that this works as well, just because sometimes people want to know right off the bat, and especially this is because this is what we're taught, like in on camera. So when you have your email header, you want to make sure that you have your union affiliation, whether you are union or non-union or FICOR. And then basically what you are, like what you were saying, like voice actor. And I can't remember. Oh yeah. Make sure that you have in there that it's like a voice actor talent submission, and it's not like a client question or like a fan question, you know, just make sure that it's specified.
Yes. And try to like not make it a super long sentence subject. If you can find a way to like shorten things, like for if you're non-union, just put like NU, or, you know, NUVA submission, or, you know, something like that. Because again, if they see super long subject line, they're like, okay, but how long is this email, right? Like you don't want to, you know, throw anybody, you know, off, because it's like, okay, this is a lot, right? So right, yeah, no, I don't have time for a novel, just give me a couple paragraphs, we're good, like short paragraphs, and we're fine. So just be mindful of that as well.
Absolutely. And I also have written in mine location as well. So usually like union affiliation, what you are, voice actor, and then location, because those are kind of like the three main points that people want to know, because they want to
that's good.
Or if you're remote.
That's good. That's good. I have it in my first introductory little 2-3 paragraph
Nice, nice.
and
Yeah,
in my thing so that they know. It's
100%.
fine. So yeah, mix and match, but don't repeat. You can have it in your subject line or in the body of your email, but don't repeat. If you have non-union VA or like Colorado non-union VA, don't put that in your body of email. Like, hi, I'm Jazzy. I'm a Colorado non-union voice actor. Well, I know because I read it in your subject line. So try not to repeat information again. It adds too much and they're like, okay, when are we getting to the point, right? So just, again, something to be mindful of.
100%. Thank you.
No, thank
So
you.
of course, of course. So we've got another question. This one's from an anonymous attendee. Um, and the question is, do you have any go-to free or lower priced sites or programs that help to find a person in a specific department? So I'm assuming that's if they're um, like different industries, like lines of work or casting or agent.
Mm.
What I think from it, they said that I know that there are a few out there that may be super expensive. And if you'd like to expand on that, anonymous attendee, please do. Um, but yes, so that is the gist of the question.
Um, so I honestly, in terms of that, LinkedIn is the best tool. Again, your friends and your community is going to be your greatest asset. I like to call it cheating the system. So instead of everybody paying for LinkedIn Premium to see email addresses and contact information, if you have a friend in your group of friends that has LinkedIn Premium and you have a name that you would like for them to look to see if they have their email address on, ask them. It's great. Be like, hey, I know this is a super expensive membership. If you don't mind, like, here's a list of names. I would love to look through LinkedIn with you and see if we can find contact information for them. Cheating the system, guys, loopholes. It's super important. Also, LinkedIn Premium does have a free 30-day trial. Unfortunately, you can't do it like streaming sites where you create a fake email every 30 days to access it. But if you take the time and gather a list of people or like build up your connections on LinkedIn on the free account, and then you activate your 30-day account and utilize those 30 days to look at the list you built and find new people, use it. So utilize your tools, think of just little tricks to save yourself money. While I say like LinkedIn honestly is the best for that specifically, but also check with your friends to see what pay to plays they have, because you can be like, okay, you can Google like companies, like some people, when they use pay to plays as clients, they will have their company name, like their studio name or whatever, and you can Google them and just look to see if you can just reach out to them personally and market yourself to them directly. So again, the worst thing people can say to you is no. I have gotten some replies that are like, we only use this pay to play. And it's like, okay, that's fine. Have a good day. And others that are like, oh, great, we'll add you to our roster. Because while yes, pay to plays are used because they usually don't want to pay, for the ones that do are okay with paying, it's just because they don't have a roster of talent or they don't know where to find voice actors. So keep that in mind as well.
Thank you. I love that. It's like work smarter, not harder.
Exactly. You're like, yes, there's so many ways.
Save time for yourself.
I'm a person based on convenience, aka laziness. So like gotta make it work, right? Efficient and convenient.
Yes. And kind of actually segueing off of that, working smarter and not harder, someone did ask, do you have any templates or forms that you can share that helps with keeping things organized? I know you mentioned Excel, but is there a specific setup that you can share or perhaps prefer?
Okay, so do not follow my example. I am terrible at keeping track of things because, again, I'm a very I'm a very efficient, let's just get the ball rolling kind of person. So for me specifically, and I promise you I'm going to give you a very good resource at the end of this. For me personally, when I'm reaching out to people and I'm looking at websites and things like that, If I go to put their email address or address the email to them and their email pops up automatically, oh, I've reached out to this person. All right, let me search their email address in my Gmail and pull up the thread. And I'm like, oh, perfect. I sent them an email 6 months ago. Let me go ahead and follow up to this email. That's my system. It is very chaotic. So unless it works for you, don't do that. Great friend Rob Moetta did a seminar with Voices of Color, where he talked about how he keeps track of all of his income, business, all the things. Like, it's a wonderful, excellent tool. It's on our website, voctakeover.com, on the resources page. You can watch the video. It was recorded. You can watch the seminar Rob did, but there's also the blank Excel spreadsheet that he uses so that you can input your own information and keep track. Like, it's great for like taxes, like tracking how many jobs, where he gets the jobs from, and everything like that. Wonderful resource. Check it out, download it, and then just start inputting your information. It's going to save you so much. Like, it has a little, what are they called? Like the equations and stuff that automatically like do the math for you and stuff. It's a great tool. It's just not for my chaotic self. So, please use that tool. It's a wonderful formulas. Thank you. Words are hard, guys. I'm telling you. So just utilize that tool. It's great. It's a great starter. And then you can adjust from there. Just adjust it for you.
Thank you for sharing that. It's going to be so helpful. I'm probably going to look that up myself, if I'm going to be honest.
Right.
But I've also got a very, depending on the day, sometimes I'm very chaotic with it, and then other days I'm like probably the most organized person in the world. So it balances itself out and then kind of neutralizes, and then I still lose track of things anyways.
Look, I think any possible organization skills I have get applied to having kids. So it's over for me in my own career. We're making it work, you know.
I allocated that resource elsewhere. That's as far as it's gonna go.
That's it. That's all you're getting from me.
So we do have another question regarding templates. And so for this question, they're wondering if you have any sort of templates that you can share for emails or for the different types of emails or correspondences that you send out for direct marketing.
Actually, I should do that and update that. So also on the website, at the bottom, there is a section called templates. There is a nice little contract, like open general contract template that you can use when you're sending out jobs to your own clients, so that you can have something on paper and writing that this is what you're getting paid and this is, their thing. So there's a general contract one, and there's a general template one as well. I will make it a point now to go update that to include the different kinds, and I'll share my templates because I do have a Google folder of my different templates and how I use them. So I will be sure to do that. Give me a week. Give me a week and I'll update that.
Yeah, and then Jazzy, if you'd like, if you want to send out any of these links to the PGM VO list email and then ask us to send it out to the attendees, we're more than happy to do that for you.
That would be dope. I would love that.
Yeah. We got you.
I'm gonna make a note of this though. Update templates.
Yes, you've got it.
Perfect. Okay.
All right. So I have a question this time around about what you would prefer to use to bill or invoice your clients, and also as payment for private clients.
So after the first year of chaotic tracking and taxes, here's what I found. Siri, apparently, who just decided to pop in. I use QuickBooks. TurboTax, yeah. TurboTax QuickBooks. Because the first year of taxes was absolutely chaotic because I had PayPal, I had a non-voiceover account that was just me using my personal bank account, that where bills get paid and stuff like that. So I had to filter through a year's worth of transactions to click which ones were business related. Don't be like me, guys. Don't be like me. Please learn from me. That was chaotic and it was too much. So helpful tips for tracking. Have one, what are they called? Like payment site, like PayPal, Venmo, or whatever, Cash App, whatever. Only have one for voiceover. Have one for voiceover. And then have a separate bank account just for voiceover. Just for voiceover. It's going to save your butt so much if you get all of your transactions, voiceover related, sent to one place and taken from one place. That it can include travel, that it can include any equipment that you buy, PayPal fees, all of that. It'll be so much easier, especially come tax time. So I use QuickBooks because what you can do is you can link your bank account to QuickBooks so it keeps track of it. And you can mark whatever's business as business and, or not. I also use QuickBooks because I also use TurboTax. And so when tax time does come around, all it is a simple transferring over of information from QuickBooks to TurboTax, and it'll pop in. I also pay my taxes quarterly. As much as I can. Because, as freelancers, we owe money to the government. So I'll pay that quarterly so that I don't owe a whole bunch of money during tax time. And QuickBooks is great because it notes your profit, your expenses, your income, and it gives you an estimate of what you'll owe in taxes, and you can pay on QuickBooks. Gosh, I feel like I should reach out to QuickBooks now and be like, yo, you guys need a new brand voice because I'm sitting here promoting you guys. But you can also link payment sites like PayPal and stuff like that on there. But if you just have the one voiceover account, you won't need to do that because everything will be tracked through your bank account. So keep that in mind. Don't lose your mind like I did. Tax time is rough.
Thank you so much for that. I'm gonna need that because come tax time this year, it's going to be a bit of a nightmare for me. I didn't take all of those steps. I didn't think about all of it.
But
I didn't
think about it. It's going to be way easier for you next year because you'll know you're prepping yourself for the year after.
I know I am. I'm one of those like deal with it first and then improve later. Ask forgiveness. Kind of
I'm sorry to my future self.
I'm sorry to my future self. This is what you're gonna have to deal with.
It'll be worth it, I promise.
Oh my gosh. So staying on that topic of organization, Terry has asked if you have any advice on how to organize your CVR, or is it CRV? CRV, maybe?
Okay, so I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm really bad at what things stand for. What is that?
I assumed you might have known, so I was like, I will ask anyways. CRM. Oh, CRM.
Customer relationships manager. Oh, like who I keep in contact with kind of thing. That's my first time hearing that term. So yeah, how do I organize that? I don't. I'm not even going to lie to you guys. I don't. It really is just, I have, so in my Gmail and in my Google folder, I have like what are they called? Like folders, folders. So I have one for auditions I get, for jobs I've booked, and then just for like responses, like yes responses from people that I've reached out to. And so if I ever feel the need, like, I haven't sent out like a follow-up email with anybody for a while, I can just check in that client folder or like that yes folder. And then I can be like, oh, let me send out an email to these people. I haven't, talked to them in a while. Let me go ahead and reach out to them. And same for auditions or jobs. Like, you know what? Thank you for sending me opportunities. Just checking in on you, seeing how you're doing. Same with jobs. Thank you for a previous job. Let me know how you're doing. Yeah, I think that's my primary way of doing it. Again, chaos. Don't follow my example. Have a spreadsheet, guys, so you can know who. And again, it's on Rob's spreadsheet as well. Like, really like those customers and clients and stuff and information. So be better than me.
Don't do as you do.
Don't
Do as
be
you
like
say.
me. Be better.
I love it. So kind of in that same vein with customer relations. So do you have, I know you spoke about this earlier, sending out a website that you direct your potentials to. What would you say is good to have included on that website? Or and then do you send a website, or do you send only demos or samples, or vice versa? What would you include?
So in an email, if you're doing attachments, basic attachments, demos or sample, don't attach, if you have like 5 demos or 5 samples, don't attach all of them. Just do the basic, like if you have a commercial demo, do that over character. If you have or like 2 samples, you know, like just contrasting samples, like a serious commercial, or then like a comedic piece, right? So basics, resume, in terms of attachment, and that's usually it. And then when you offer your website, I like to say, if you like to check out more things in detail, like my home studio, because I have a whole home studio page where it's pictures of my home studio, listing my equipment, saying I have Source Connect, and then a home studio raw sample so that they can hear what it sounds like. That is going to save your butt, especially if you're a remote talent. Having a home studio sample on your website is going to be wonderful, because they won't have to question how good your sound quality is. There are some places that if you record with them for the first time, they're still going to need to do a home studio test, which is totally fine, but you can at least give them a peek. And other clients who don't care so much about tests, that you have a great home studio. And I'm trying to think, like usually, what do you have? Oh, so introduce your home studio sample. Sorry, home studio sample. Introduce yourself, regular talking tone. Clap 3 times with like a section or a second. Wow, words. Wow, a second in between. Clap 3 times at different points in front of your mic, and then turn up your gain. Give a couple sentences in a whisper. Turn it down. Couple sentences yelling. And then about 10 seconds of room tone. Call it a day, so that they can hear the basics and everything that they need. So that's what you should have on your home studio sample. But yeah, so email-wise, attachments, the basics, less is more. On your website, if they go to your website, you can go crazy. As long as your email, demos, and resume are on the home page, you can go as crazy as you did. Like I said, I did too much on mine. I have my home page. I have a projects page that are NDA safe. I have an education page of all the classes I've taken. I have a home studio page, and then I have an about me page. So you can go as crazy as you want on your website, as long as the important information is on the home page.
100%. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
So I have another question, kind of like still following in with the samples and your resume and the demos that you send through. Would you prefer to send a file, or would you prefer to send links? And if you're using links, is there any sort of preferred platform that you use, like SoundCloud, or do you just like upload it onto your Google Drive and then send them that link? Like, what would you say for that?
Attachment, straight attachment over links. Again, just thinking about the convenience of the person you're sending the email to. You don't want to take them away from the email if they don't want to be away from the email. That's why you give the option of, here's my website versus here are attachments. If you give a link instead of those attachments, they're still being pulled away from your email. They still have to open up a whole new tab and go into, maybe even have to download your audio just to listen to it. So not everybody wants to do that. Again, less is more. And again, the longer that it takes somebody to get to the point, the more they're going to lose interest.
Thank you. So for the emails that you send out to your potential clients, when you're sending out templates, is there a chance that those templates, because it's a template and you're copying and pasting the same thing over and over again, will it end up being in their spam inbox? And how would you combat that?
Ooh, that's a great question. I haven't really been on the other side to really experience that, but I know that even though it's a template, I still personalize it because I've gotten the things that I'm going to say the same out of the way, right? Like my ending, or like, here's my website where you can check this out and here's things. But that beginning part is personalized, right? Like you're adjusting it. So it's not just like a regular copy paste. Like it's copy paste is more for your sanity, so you don't have to retype literally everything or have to think of something completely new every time. Your information will not change, right? Where they can find you, that piece of information will not change. You can copy and paste that. But I always personalize my greetings. So happy Friday, or oh gosh, happy hump day, whatever. And then if you're contacting a person directly, always be sure to use their name. So happy hump day, Jordan, happy hump day, Katie, so that they know you're talking. Again, that personalization, instead of just copy and pasting or blind CCing everybody on one email just to like get it out there, it makes it personal. Again, you're talking to a person and they know that you know who you're talking to when you address them. So personalize your greeting. Again, that's why it's important to have like, hey, I saw your website with this video, love your work, right? Stuff like that. Totally fine. And having a little, so just be sure to personalize it. And I'm sure my emails ended up in somebody's spam, but it's definitely not just because I copied and pasted.
100%. Yeah, because I do the same thing that you do. Like I have like the template that I use for all of the basic information, where it's like, well, this is, I've got a remote studio, I'm based here, blah blah blah, and then there's the intro line, and then the outro line is always very personalized. Like I look up who I am submitting to just so I can send them like a little bit something special for them. So yes, thank you so much for that.
Oh yeah, and you just reminded me, like when you guys are attaching your information, like if you're doing attachments, know who you're reaching out to, because if you reached out to a studio that only does commercials, you don't send them your character demo. Like, you be mindful of who you're submitting to, because if you're if you're submitting to an indie studio, why would you send them your narration demo, right? Like, so just be mindful of that, and that will also help you not overcrowd the email by sending them 5 different demos when they only do one genre of work.
Exactly.
Keep that in mind.
Thank you. So then when you're submitting to agencies, this question is from Leo. For example, Leo said that they've submitted to agencies in September with all of the steps and then haven't heard back as of yet. Everything was well thought out and there was a lot of effort that went into it. And should they be worried because it's been a month with no reply? And also, do they resubmit in 6 months with the same stuff, or should they wait until, they get some new stuff to send out?
So again, with the follow-up, the rule, have your set rule of when you follow up. Again, people get busy. They just might not have time in that moment, and then they'll forget to revisit your email and things like that. So have your follow-up rule, be it 3 days, be it 6 days, rule of 6, rule of 7, whatever it is. It's okay to follow up. It's better to follow up if you have an update, so that you can kind of like show you're doing things, and that you're working on stuff. I will preach this forever and ever till the day I die. Nobody needs an agent. Agents are nice to have, because you'll get, the higher profile stuff that you most likely wouldn't find on your own. And I won't even say like 100% wouldn't find on your own. If you talk to the right people and you have genuine connections with the right people, you can get these on your own, right? So, remember that. But I kind of went off and my brain like left me for a second there. But no, you shouldn't be concerned. Again, everybody gets busy. So just follow up. If you have an update, share that update. You can, there again, making sure you know the submission rules. If they say submit once and don't submit again until 6 months, be sure to follow that. Don't follow or update or not. If they have a 6-month rule, do that 6 months. But yeah, you can follow up, have your rule. It'd be better to do it if you have an update.
Right. I have a cute little thing that I do when I was submitting things and then, following up with people like several months later, especially because then when you're first starting out, it's hard to have new updates when you're not working that much.
Mm-hmm.
Just starting out, you've just got like the 1 gig. It's like the 1 gig once every few months, and then you're just like, oh, it's the same thing. What do I do? So, what I did was I would send them links to my stuff, and then a couple months later, I'd be like, oh, I just realized I didn't send any attachments. They're just links. So you might have
That's
a hard
good.
time opening them. Let me send you the attachments. So then it's like a follow up, but it's like still the
I
same stuff.
like that. Yo, that's really good. I might have to use that. Because it's like, because not even in the realm of that, there are some things you're like, wow, this is going to be under NDA for a long time. I can't update anybody with this yet. Oh no, I just sent links. Oh God, let me just. That is good. That is good. And also, updates don't just have to be work. It could be you took a workshop with this casting director and they liked what you did. Those kind of updates are great too, because it shows that you're building relationships. Because especially with agencies, it's a partnership and they'll give you auditions, and sometimes you're going to bring gigs to your agent. And so they're going to be like, oh, I have a relationship with this casting director and they just booked me for something. You want to take over? And they're going to be like, yeah, I want to take over. So it's going to be great. So
Smart. That's very, very smart. I've never thought of that.
oh yeah. They'll love to be like, really? You have a relationship with this casting director without us? Wow. Okay, so you're doing stuff. Let me consider that. All right. Yeah. So classes, workshops do help too. They do.
100%, they do. And so now I have a question regarding like websites. And this one is from an anonymous attendee. So the question is, what would you say is best to use? Website or Linktree? Or would it be better to have them both? Or just keep an up-to-date Linktree?
For me, Linktree is for more for people who do multiple things. Because they might have different avenues of how you can contact them depending on what you want from them, like what your relationship to them is. So like if you're a voice actor, but also a director, or you're also an audio engineer, right? Like you would have a Linktree would be really good because you don't need it, but you could have, maybe you're one of those that has like an audio engineering website and that has contact information different than your voice acting website because it's for two different things, and you don't want to crowd your both inboxes with things, right? You don't want, because that would be chaos, right? So Linktree would be good for that because you have a homepage, but then it'll branch off to the different avenues of work you do. For example, if you're running an organization, you could have a Linktree that has your VA website and then your organization's website. Or if you offer coaching services, that Linktree will have a link to the coaching services and so on and so forth. So Linktree is more for people who have multiple avenues of work. Having a general website, I think, is best if you're just focusing on voice acting at the time, for the time being.
Right. Absolutely. I 100% agree with that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for the question. So I have a question here now from Mary, and I feel like this is kind of an important question to touch on. So Mary had said, you mentioned rate sheets. What should be included here? And what would you say are good sources to find rates for some of our newer voice actors in the chat?
Rate sheets. Okay, so there are some great resources out there, like the GVAA, Gravy for the Brain. They have great non-union like rate guides. Words. They have non-union rate guides. Voice Acting Club has like an indie rate guide. Shout out to Kira Buckland. So you can base your rates off of that. There's also what I say people should have, at least the basics. You should have a per hour rate, per hour minimum. You should have a per word range as well, a rate as well. Percent per line is always like iffy because what those clients, you're like, why do you have 5 run-on sentences in this? Like, I don't understand what you're trying to do. And per rate or per word is a lot better with long form work, like long form narration, just because you can end up cheating yourself if you do a per hourly rate. So know those basics. Great things to, brush yourself up on are buyout rates. Have a session rate, and just knowing what the buyout rate for things is. So like, is this a regional commercial? Is this just going to be used internally for 3 months and things like that? So just keep up with that information, and those rates like that are great things to refer, those rate guides like GVAA, Gravy for the Brain, so that you have an idea. Non-union versus union, great thing about union is that yes, they have their set minimum, so it's easy. Honestly, if you go check out union rates and get as close to those as you can as non-union, that is totally fine too. Okay, like it's fine. The problem with the voiceover industry is that nobody knows what rates are currently, and so a lot of people are either undercharging or they're being underpaid because they just don't know. So just have that. You can compare with other, people. Your community is going to be your greatest resource. If you get a gig and they're like, hey, what are your rates? And you've never done a gig like this, ask your community, like, hey, this client wants me to do a 2-hour long form narration gig. I don't know what to charge for that. And there will be people that are willing to give you a proper rate and tell you what to charge, or at least a range. So it's just about being in the know. And again, with your confidence level, I started off doing $150 an hour with an hour minimum for like little social media ads I've done. And then I was like, yeah, I'm good at this now. I have a minimum now. Like, oh, I'm doing $250 per hour. And then just depending on what kind of work it is, if it's an hourly rate, I'll be like, all right, this is a 2-hour minimum. This is a 1-hour minimum for something like this, right? Or like long form narration, I do 35 cents a word because it's a lot of talking. So just know, don't undersell yourself just because you don't have the experience. Still at least have the collective minimum of the research that you do and what you ask everybody. And then you can go up from there.
Thank you. Thank you for answering that.
Yeah.
So I do have another question that kind of falls into, it segues from that last question that we've got. So Jay asked, after direct marketing, you get in contact with a place, but they are really undermining the price for your work. For example, like $30 for 2 hours. How do you approach that situation? And is this somebody that you actually still want to remain in contact with? And if not, how would you politely decline?
Yay. Okay. Just like the worst thing anybody can say to you in this business is no, you also have to be okay with saying no. It's not always about the credits. It's not always about you getting work, right? Again, everything's audition based, whatever. If a client is not negotiating with you to give you proper pay, you can pass. There will be clients where that you will say, oh, this is actually my rate. And they're going to be like, oh, we can't afford that. We're going to pass. That's fine. Go on. There's plenty of work out there. There are plenty of clients. The issue with the industry is that just because you said no to low rates, there might be somebody out there that will. And so that client is going to go, it's very predatory. It's a problem in the VO industry, very much so. So don't ever, it's okay to say no. It's like, oh, unfortunately, I'm going to have to pass. And that's really all you have to say is, yeah, I'm sorry, I can't, these are my rates. I cannot negotiate below this rate. Learning how to negotiate is a great skill too. Just knowing like, oh, I'm going to overdo this. They're like, actually, we can't afford that much. And then you're like, great, I can go down to this price, which is actually your normal price. And you're getting your, you're getting your proper rate. So learning how to negotiate is a great skill. If you can take any, like, if you find any like low key classes on that, or take it, it's a great skill. But yeah, you just have to be okay with saying no. And honestly, if you have a template like that in your back pocket, no one will fault you for that. Just be like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't negotiate below this rate. I'm going to have to pass on this one this time, but hopefully we can work together in the future. I understand businesses are businesses. You're also a business. Don't forget that. So
Don't burn your bridges. Just
don't burn your bridges. You can say no politely. You don't have to be like, no, here's my middle fingers to you, right? Like, you don't have to do that. So you can decline politely. And who knows? I've heard stories of people that were like, hey, these are my rates. The business said no. They went about their day, and then they couldn't find the voice that they wanted after that. And then they came back and said, we're willing to pay your rates. So just keep that in mind. You are a business.
Keep that line of communication open, because then as soon as you burn that bridge, like, that's it.
It's over.
There's no
It's
coming
done.
back from that.
Yeah, at all.
The one example you mentioned, because they didn't burn that bridge, the company was able to go back with previous software and be like, you know what? I think we can add a little bit more to the pot. We're going to hire you because we can't find anybody else. And you did such a fantastic job with your audition anyways. So very, very good answer to that question. Thank you so much, Jazzy.
Yeah, of course.
So we have a little bit over 10 minutes left. So I'm just going to be jumping around with questions, just trying to pick out ones that are, unique from some of the other ones in here.
I'll see too. There's a couple that I can just like.
Yeah. So there's one that I think might be worth touching on from Jamie. And the question is, what if it's been a few weeks or months since the workshop with the casting director? Is it too late? Or should we take another workshop? For instance, some are seeking specific voice matches for characters or etc. And another question in there, any tips on how to mention to an agent that you will be freelancing with a management VO company, but will still put agency first in case, they get the same audition? And tips on reaching out to agents for check-in meetings on goals, types of auditions they're receiving, etc.
Okay.
That's like a three-parter question. I know.
No worries. I'm trying to think of the best way to go into this spiel. Okay, so for spiel agencies, agency spiel, I like to say, you should always, you need to have a very open line of communication. Questions that you need to ask your agent when you're first meeting them. What kind of auditions do you get? What's your commission? Oh gosh, there's another one and I can't remember it. Oh my gosh. Because at the end of the day, an agency is a partnership. And so you should ask them what kind of auditions they get so that you guys can be a good match. And you can discuss with them your goals and things like that. So just be very open with them. There are some management companies and agencies that are spaghetti on the wall, that they're just like, we'll send you everything and all of the things. And you're like, okay, well, I am not a 10-year-old kid. So I don't, like, you're looking for authentic kids. I am not, like, we only want kid actors. And you're like, do you not pay attention to who's on your list? So if you haven't heard from your agent in a while, send them an email, say you want to meet, have a check-in meeting and things like that. Again, it's a partnership. Any agent wouldn't mind having that like, oh yeah, sure, let's have a conversation. If you are freelancing, you don't you can let the agency know, but it's not really like a make or break because you're not actually like signed with anybody, right? And also a lot of the big agencies anyway are bi-coastal. So I know plenty of people, I mean, myself included, that have bi-coastal rep, but they also have regional agents, because even though they're the big agencies, they're not going to get the ones like here I have a Colorado agent and CSD, and I've only had one audition ever overlap. But from there, you make your decision on who you're You make the decision on who your mother agency is, because sometimes regional agencies can get one that's from California or from New York, right? It just depends on where they are. So you personally need to make that decision, like, okay, is it going to be one of the things where whoever sent it to me first is the one who gets it? Or is it that if I get it from this agency, they get everything? And it's my regional agents. If I get something from them and I don't get it from them, then, you know, I can submit to them. So as long as your agency, like, themselves don't have their own rules, like we have to be your mother agency or things like that, you have your own like ranking. That sounds bad, like ranking, but that's what it is. Like who's going to be your number one, and then you just go from there. Great thing about management companies and agencies is that you can have both, even if you were signed with both, because they're not the same. I'm still learning the difference between the two. I'm not even gonna lie, but you can have a manager and you can have an. I know, Risa. I saw your face. I was like, yeah, it depends, right? Like it just depends. But
Words.
it's weird. It's a weird thing because I feel like it's just like a small thread that separates them. But you can have both. So
Yeah. So can I say something to that?
please do.
Okay, so the thing with like agencies and managers is on camera it's very different. And that's kind of the experience that I had coming into this was, you know, because I had actually at the same time at one point an on-camera agent and an on-camera manager. And what the manager does is they manage aspects of your career. So for example, if they feel like, oh, like you are good at doing theatrical, let me get you in touch with a theatrical agent. I have some managers as well that are very hands-on with like your social media. They'll do your marketing for you. They manage your schedule, they manage aspects of your life, they manage parts of your career. And that's what a manager, from my understanding from coming on camera work, what they should be doing for you. Now, going into voiceover, the lines have been so blurred. It's so weird.
It is.
Um, so and here's the thing, I'm kind of in that, Jamie, I'm kind of in a similar situation, but flipped. So I'm fully signed to a management company, but I'm freelancing with an agency. And so the agency has actually requested that I prioritize castings from them. But I've set my boundaries. I've told them that, you know, as much as I would love to, I am currently fully signed to a manager that I have obligations to because I'm fully signed with them. If you want to fully sign me, then maybe we'll talk. But as of right now, since I'm only fully signed to the management company, unfortunately, they will have my priority. So and then you start booking things with the agent, and then they'll start seeing, they'll be like, well, actually I want to have priority. And here's also the thing, regardless of whether or not you book through your manager or your agent, it should not matter to your management company, because a management company does take 10 to 20% of your work, depending on if it's union or non-union anyways. So, for example, your agent books something for you, right? And then it'll go into your manager, and then they'll be like, oh, well, okay, so your agent has booked this for you, but because I'm your manager, I'm still owed commission from all of the voice work that you've done. So they still earn money anyways. So there's nothing wrong with you prioritizing the agency because they still get their dues. I mean, the only thing that I can think of is they would lose out on managing their clientele, but it doesn't matter anyways because they're still getting that money. Anyways, that's my spiel on that.
Totally fine. There's a question here I see on VO scam jobs on sites like LinkedIn. There seems to be a lot of them. How do you identify them? Really just information. Don't ever, like, if they want you to audition for something, and this applies to pay to plays as well, don't read the whole entire audition script. If they post the whole thing and they want you to read the whole, don't do that, because they can just take your audio and then just apply it to wherever they want, without ever paying you. So audition with portion of the script. If they ever like say anything like, oh, if they ever request payment for anything. Like, no, you're hiring me. Those are red flags. Oh my gosh, like just anything where you're getting paid directly. There was one recently going around where they were emailing like, yeah, we'd love to hire for this, great. And then like when it got to the point of payment, they're like, hey, the radio station that we're doing this project for, we can't send payment. So can you send payment for us? That's a red flag. So it's very, if it makes yourself, if you want to like make yourself feel better, taking a deposit's never a bad thing, especially if it's a long-term project. Taking a deposit is totally fine. Having a set payment date, again, contracts, that's why contracts are super important to have, even just basic ones, where if you just discuss what the project is, the term length, and things like that. As long as you have it, right? Easy. So, and always ask your friends, as especially as long as there's not a physical, like an actual NDA attached. If it's an email and you're feeling iffy about it, ask your friends, ask your community, because there may be somebody else that got that email and is like, it's a scam. So never be afraid to ask.
100%. Thank you so much, Jazzy. I believe we've got 2 minutes left, so I'm just going to close out from here on out. Thank you, everybody, to all of your questions. I'm so sorry we weren't able to get to them, but hopefully we were able to get to some of the meatier stuff, some of the nitty-gritties of it. Jazzy, you are an absolute wealth of knowledge. It's been so fun chatting with you. This has been lovely, incredibly informative, and honestly, I've learned so much.
Oh gosh, no, good. I'm glad.
So,
like I learned some things too, so little tricks and tips. So thank you.
of course, absolutely. So I hope this was helpful for everybody in the chat. Jazzy, again, thank you for your time and thank you for sharing your knowledge and experiences with us and our community today. I do believe this webinar will be available for everyone to rewatch on YouTube. Yes. Thank you for the link, Heidi. You're amazing. So keep an eye out on our YouTube channel for its release. I think we put our YouTube links for past webinars in our newsletters, so keep an eye out for that. Thank you again so much for being here.
Thank you.
Have the rest of your Saturday.
You too. And guys, like I may be better at social media, but like if you tag me in a question, I'll do my best to answer it. Especially like on Twitter or something. It's just like an easy reply. Totally fine. Again, I have to work harder at social media anyway. So if you guys make me do it, I will do it. Like, but it'll be so much better.
Send us your socials.
Socials, one more time. Yeah, one more time. So I'm usually Jazzy Frizzle VO on most of my socials. So just let me know if you have tag me in any questions, and I'll do my best. So
amazing. Thank you again.
Thank you. No, you were great. So thank you for moderating, keeping me on track, or at least for the ending.
I try. Alrighty, guys, go enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Thank you all.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Bye, everybody.